Good morning, everyone. I'm Denise O'Malley. I'm the founder of You Define Wellness, and welcome to another installment of our Apple a Day webinar series. These webinar series have been put together because our commitment at You Define Wellness is to bring wellness education to the community. And that doesn't mean just our bodies. It means our business, our having a healthy lifestyle, our workplace, everywhere you could possibly imagine, which is why we mix it up. And we'll have 2 webinars a month. The first is on a business wellness topic, and the second one will be on your body and your lifestyle. And so this one, I am delighted to introduce to you today, Peter Brissette. He is the guy behind the digital marketing dude, and he's going to be sharing with us a lot of information about online reputation management. So Peter, thank you for being here today. I appreciate having you on board.
Thank you so much, Denise. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you and your community. We've done a couple of things here in the past, and it's always been a great experience for me. So looking forward to talking about online reviews in particular and how they can actually help you grow your business. So I guess I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Take it from here, wherever you'd like to lead this.
You got it. All right. That's what we're going to do then. Let's get this going. So that's, that's not the right screen. I got to get it on the right screen.
Technology. Love it and hate it.
Here we go. How's that?
I can see it.
Perfect. So we are going to talk about what I call review marketing. Is how can you grow your business with positive online reviews? And we're going to give you some background and details of that and walk you through that. I've really been on a mission with this for the last 8 years now. I can't believe it's been that long. I first published this little guide called Overcoming Negative Online Reviews back in December of 2010. Whoops. This thing just flipped through as fast as I've ever seen before.
It's getting possessed.
Why did it do that?
You want to end the show and restart it?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
I don't know why it did that.
Huh.
That was weird.
Your mouse was hungry. It ate it.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
What's the advantage of not having anybody on? We can start over.
But you know what? It's live, so it works. So let's start it again.
All right. You would just want me to pick up from
wherever you would like, Peter.
Awesome. Let's start from the beginning. Okay. I'm not going to touch the mouse so we can walk through this easier. All right. So we're talking about reviews. I talked a little bit here about overcoming negative online reviews. This is a guide I published in 2010 that really detailed some of the challenges that I saw about the online review space even back then. It's only gotten more competitive and more tricky in a lot of ways. I've at least been able to get some of my work published. In Paint Magazine took some of my comments and information here a couple years ago, which was nice to do that. And we've been doing this for local clients since 2010, heavily in the assisted living space, but very much across the healthcare industry in general, from chiropractors to dentists to massage therapists and across the board. So some of the mistakes that I see out there that need to be overcome. Number one is not making it easy. And that's some of what we'll talk about in this, but that's really one of the biggest mistakes. It's so difficult to really direct people on where to leave the reviews. So that's the one thing we have to overcome. The other thing is that we don't ask for them. We don't take that moment to go, especially when a customer has had a great experience, when they said, hey, it was great, it was awesome, then taking that next step and saying, hey, why don't you leave me a review, and asking for them. And we'll get into some more details about that, because there's some sites where that gets a little tricky.
Great. Can I take you back to a question that's coming to my mind that
Absolutely.
is a precursor to all this is, why should we care about online review and managing it?
Well, and we'll get into the details of the why piece of that. It's really, what it comes down to is how people are using this device right here.
Okay.
And when I am looking for a service provider and I put into my phone a category of massage therapist near me, the first thing they see is not your website. It's not your social media. The first thing they see is the Google Maps, and the first thing that Google's using, especially with the phone, is how far away are they from you? And that determines whether or not you're going to show up. But then the secondary things that determine if you're going to show up are how many reviews you have and how recent your reviews are. The other factor then is, I got 3 choices. And if your competitors have more reviews than you, you lose.
And this doesn't automatically happen. I mean, there's some automatic that goes into it, obviously, by the mere nature of you being on the internet. But where you land doesn't automatically, there is a magic and a science behind it. And that's what you're going to be covering, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
No, that's great. So then the third mistake we see is not repurposing those reviews. So we get these great reviews, we have these great testimonials, and we're not using them on our website, we're not sharing them on our social media, we're not adding them into our marketing. So that's really an opportunity there. There's one jewelry company, Tom Shane, the Shane Company. Everybody's heard of them and their radio ads, but he has one ad in particular that I think is really powerful, in that he says, hey, here's all the great stuff about us, but don't take our word for it. Go to brides.com or one of these other sites and look at the 1,000 reviews that are there about our company. So it's another way that you can repurpose reviews in your marketing. So getting back to what Denise was asking there, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the overall landscape, where the reviews are being collected. We're going to highlight real quick about consumer trust, the main areas that impact review in terms of search engines and how people are finding you. What do you do if you get a negative review? How do you handle that? And then a simple 7 steps. Maybe 7's not simple, but I try to make them 7 simple steps for a review marketing plan. So that's what we'll talk about here. Some people will call this reputation management. It's called advocacy marketing, influencer marketing. My preference is to call it review marketing, because the whole intention is here, I need reviews on third-party online review sites like Google and Facebook and Yelp. And I want to use those to intentionally market my business. I want to get more business because of how good my reviews are. We're familiar with reviews. Amazon's had them on there for years. You have reviews of reviews now. So it's crazy. It's just like, this is the world we live in, the world of public opinion that people are sharing out there. So where are these being collected? The most obvious one, Google, Yelp, Foursquare, Angie's List, sites like Merchant Circle. If you're in the automobile industry, you have sites like cars.com and AutoMD, especially if you're in the auto repair industry. If you're in senior care, you're on sites like caring.com. If you're an attorney, Avo's rating you. If you're in the health space, you're a doctor, Health Grades It's a Colorado-based company, by the way. Real estate, you're going to be on Zillow. So these are just a handful of the sites. There's a lot more.
Oh my gosh.
Just to give you an idea of all the different sites that are out there. Now, there's really just a few that matter the most. We tend to focus on Google, Yahoo, and Google, Facebook, and Yelp, those three as the primary review sites. And then if you have a particular industry or niche, then whatever the industry or niche sites are for you. But there's a lot of different options depending on which industry that you're in. You might wonder how you get on these sites. A lot of times what happens is you set up a business with a phone number and an address with the local phone company, and that information becomes a public record. That information begins to be published on a number of different sites and starts to show up all over the place online. What happens is with inconsistency on those.
Can I ask you a question? Does it matter if it's a landline or a cell phone?
Well, so if you just get a cell phone, it's probably not going to show up. This is definitely, you got a landline with the local phone company with the business listing in the yellow pages, a basic business listing in the yellow pages. Once that's published in a public record, then that's the thing that starts to get pushed out. If you're just operating your business from your cell phone without another listing or another way, there are other ways that you may show up. There's other public records. We'll talk about some of that, but there are other ways that you can show up. But the most common way is I got a business phone line.
Okay.
And that's what kind of starts the process.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so percentage of consumers that use online reviews. I think this is actually a couple years old. It's closer to 90% at this point of consumers that are actually using online reviews.
Wow.
This actually has gone down a little bit. This says 79%. It's a little bit less right now of consumers that actually trust online reviews. So not only do they use them, they actually believe what they're reading. And I'll show you how this compares to other forms of advertising. So you can go, oh, well, 70% of people trust online reviews. That's a pretty big number. And as we compare it, we'll show you why that matters. And just by the way, 2% of consumers use traditional yellow pages. So if you're going to go that route,
wasn't sure they were still out there.
Might not be the best option.
Right.
So what does that number mean? So when we talk about 70% that trust online reviews, if we look at all these different options with websites, emails that I signed up for, an email I signed up for is only trusted 50% of the time. So you actually asked to be signed up on their list, but your trust in those emails is not that great. The only thing that's trusted more than online reviews is an actual personal recommendation.
Wow.
Meaning I actually, ask somebody, hey, I need to find a dentist. Who do you recommend? So we totally trust someone else's personal recommendation like that. The only thing trusted more than everything else is consumer opinions posted online reviews. So this is part of why it's so important, and having that effectiveness in all your online marketing. Because if you do any kind of marketing at all, at some point, somebody's going to look you up and they are going to probably check out your reviews. And if your reviews are not that great, they may not actually take the next step. But if you've got great online reviews, they're going to trust what that says. So this is some other studies that have been done. Pepperdine University said the likelihood that a customer would initiate business with the vendor if they had 5 stars, it was 84%. If it was 4 stars, it was 80%. So 4 or 5 stars is great. If you were to drop below that, it drops off dramatically.
Wow.
So 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star. Basically, if you have this rating online when people are looking you up, it's really unlikely that someone's going to initiate taking the next step. So again, if you're not monitoring this and you don't know where you're at, it's really going to hurt you. If you say, well, I don't have any reviews, well, that's actually hurting you too by not even having any reviews, because your competitors probably do. And so someone's choice is more likely going to go with somebody that's got at least some positive reviews. There was another, I wouldn't call it a study, basically a report put together by Moz.com. And they asked everybody that does reputation management, search engine optimization, all the people in the industry that do this. And they said, what are the most important factors in order to help businesses get found online? So the top 24 most important factors for search results, there was about 100 of them, but out of the top 24, 14 of those related directly to online reviews.
Wow.
So it's really a critical piece of the picture. And it's why we always, with local businesses, that's what we always start with, because it's so important and it affects so many different other areas in your online presence. So the quick overview of this, we'll just briefly talk about this slide, but what matters in the overall impact? How are you going to get found, and how is somebody going to choose you? First of all, it's just simple quantity. How many reviews do you have? How many reviews do you have compared to your competition? So if you're like, how many reviews should I get? How many does your competition have? Get more than that. That's the simple equation to be more competitive online. We talk about the breadth, meaning, do you have reviews not just on Google? Do you have them on Facebook? Do you have some on Yelp, or the key industry sites that that your industry is also on? So you want to have a good mix. Google is where you always want to start and have a good presence on Google and build there, and then you can start adding the other sites, but you don't want to forget the other sites. Balance is always a good thing. So sometimes people are like, I don't want to do anything with this because I might get a negative review. And that's okay, actually, for the most part, because people do like to see a balance. If there's nothing but 5-star reviews, that actually raises a red flag in a lot of people's minds. Like, how can a business never mess up? Everybody messes up one time or another. So occasionally, if there's a difficult situation, somebody left a bad review, but then the business owner responds to that review, that's okay. That actually makes it more believable that things are really legitimate in this business. Recency also matters. This matters a lot for my opinion of the business. So if I'm looking at your business and I say, I'm comparing 2 dentists, for example, and one dentist hasn't had a review in 12 months, but this one has one from last week. I'm more likely going to look at the one that was from last week. That's more recent. I don't know why this guy hasn't got one in 12 months. Something might be wrong there. I don't know what's going on. So recency is a factor in how people look at them, look at your overall profile in deciding to move forward. Consistency is another factor. We talk about this with how your business name is listed online. And we'll talk in more detail about that, but your business name, address, phone number, and your website address gets listed on all these different sites, a lot of times without you doing anything to do that. And so making sure that all those are consistent, that your name, address, and phone number are the same across all of those is critically important in how you're going to show up in the search results. And then the other factor is just basic quality. What's the quality of the review? So when someone writes you a review, are they writing, 3 words, 5 words? Or are they writing a couple paragraphs? Are they really describing the benefits that they got out of it? So when you ask for reviews, it's good to ask for, please provide as much detail as you can. The more information that's there, the better the results you're going to get from the search engine results. Okay, so they're important. They're everywhere. They'll help you grow your business. So why do you need some kind of plan in place for how you're going to manage reviews? A few reasons. One is, this is something that a while back, Google started doing this. I can actually sort by ratings now, and I can say, just show me the 4-star and up. That's all I want to see. So if you're not even in that category, even though maybe you technically should come up in the search result because you're the closest one to me, I'm not even going to see you because I'm only looking at the 4-star and up.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, little things like that.
Yeah.
The other reason why you need to have a plan is that good reviews are actually waiting to happen. So while we say 90% of consumers actually use and read online reviews, only about 6% are actually leaving reviews.
Wow.
It's a very small percentage of people that are actually leaving reviews. So to me, it's like this pent-up demand for all these happy customers that you have, and they just haven't been given the opportunity to do it. So this is why you need to actively, proactively be working on this and asking for reviews. The other reason you need to have a plan is because reviewers are motivated by emotion. Happy customers tend to be more passive, which is why this happens, right? But angry customers are going to vent.
Yep.
I don't need a lot of motivation to leave your review because when I'm mad, I want to do something about it. So you need to have some plan in place. Yeah, exactly. I've been an angry customer. You need to have a plan in place to deal with that if that were to happen. Now, the good news about the bad news is that most angry customers only vent once. So if somebody is going to leave a bad review, they're only going to do it on one site. It's very unusual for someone to go out and just try to flame you everywhere across the internet. There are a few kind of crazy people out there. We have seen that, and it can get pretty nutty. But for the most part, it's pretty unusual that people will leave reviews on more than one site. So if I do get a negative review, what am I going to do? So first of all, I say don't get one. That's your main plan. Don't get a negative review. Just, be good at what you do, right? But if you do get one, don't panic. Again, we kind of talked about having balance in your reviews. Getting one might be great feedback for you as the business owner. But it might actually, in the long run, help you. But we always recommend answer the review directly, provide your contact information. Don't try to address the issue. Just say, hey, I'm sorry that you had that problem. Please contact me directly. I want to take care of this, and just keep it that way. You don't want to get into a battle online. You want to take that offline and deal with it offline. We really encourage our clients to address it with the person, especially if they can really identify who it is. and can reach out to them themselves, or if they, however that works out with your particular clients, if you're able to see who it is, and like try to resolve the issue. And most frequently what we see anymore is that the business reaches out, works it out, and then the customer goes back and changes the review. So that's really the best scenario that we see happening. Sometimes the review isn't legitimate. You want to check and see if it is. Maybe they weren't your customer, but they by mistake left the review on your business. So if they've not done business with you, it's pretty standard terms of service across these sites that they'll remove it because they didn't actually do business with you. And you can ask for those reviews that aren't actually reviews of your business to be removed.
Let me ask you a question about that. How difficult is it to get those removed? Because I've heard of a couple of sites where you just don't respond and you're stuck with it.
So it's again, it depends on the review and if they accept that it's legitimate or not. If you clearly demonstrate that it's not based on their terms of service, based on how the customer left the review, if they definitely weren't your customer, everybody has a terms of service that goes, okay, well, I understand that's not your customer. Now you still have to get them to agree to it, but that's usually very successful, right? They are trying to enforce their terms of use in every way. So sites like Google and Yelp tend to be reasonably responsible and responsive to those type of requests. The question comes in where, I say, hey, this wasn't a good review or whatever the reason, but as far as, Yelp or somebody can tell that this was a customer, it seems like they had an issue and you can't really clearly define it, then yeah, that's tough to get removed.
But isn't it hard to prove that they're not a client of yours?
It just depends. Okay. It depends on what was said and who it was and how they said it. Like you gotta try to dig into there, and give you gotta be compelling and try to give as much fact and detail as you can to make it as clear as possible that they weren't your customer. So if you can do that, we've seen it happen many times. But we've seen anywhere it's somewhat questionable. We had a restaurant that the person reviewed and said this, whatever food item it was, was terrible or whatever. And the restaurant's like, we don't even serve that here. Like, I don't know how they could review that. And that was one they had a hard time getting removed. Because it was kind of like, well, I know you're saying you don't serve that, but this person said you did, and that one was more difficult to get removed. But yeah, it's worth the effort to try to see, especially for things that are clearly not legitimate reviews. You got to make the effort. So. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my point. Try. Again, try to resolve the problem. If you resolve it, ask them to change the review. Again, we're seeing that happen often in many situations. That's the best case scenario.
Okay.
If you have a team of people that work with you, make sure that you're reviewing all your reviews with them, providing feedback for your team. So it can be a really good learning and training tool. And obviously for you as business owner, it is as well. All right, so we're going to talk 7-step review system. I'll highlight these and then we'll go into some detail on each of these. So custom website address link, that's part of making it easy. Place that link everywhere. collect reviews on your website, monitor, collect, and add, share your reviews on social media, take that scripting and training with your team, and make sure you claim your local listings. So let's dig into each of these. What we recommend is a short link. Again, we'll talk a little bit about the service we provide. There's different ways to do this, but you can do this on your own as well. So you have yourwebsite.com /review or /review me, whatever it is. This becomes a super easy link that you send out to or share with your customers so they know where to go to leave your review and what goes on this page. What goes on that page are shortcut links to all the places you want them to leave a review. So if you want them to leave it on Google, on Facebook, on Yelp, then you make sure that that is what is on that page. It makes it easy for them to then click that link. This should be something that's mobile friendly. So whether they get it through an email or a text message, and if they're on their phone, it's something they can pull up and click through and be able to leave the reviews. And then again, what do you want to do with that link? You want to share this link everywhere. You could put it on a postcard and mail it out. You can put it on a business card. You can put it on your invoices. You can send it out in an email. You can send it out in a text. Whatever way possible, you can put this in front of your customers and always be letting them know this is where you go to leave us a review. That's the main purpose. So you're focusing on making it easy for them to do it. Then you want to have on your website, ideally you want to take and repurpose those reviews. So this is going to be the place on your website where all the reviews you have from all these different places, you make sure you're adding them there. You can just do it manually. We'll talk about our tool a little bit that makes this really easy, but you can do this yourself. You can copy and paste and put the reviews on there and have it listed. Hey, here's what some people on Yelp said about us. Here's what people on Google said about us. Here's what people on Facebook said about us. And add those to your website so as people are looking at your website, they're able to see those reviews there as well. The other thing to do is make sure that you're monitoring this. So if you don't have a monitoring tool, then you've got to use a Google search. Search your business name and reviews at the end of your business name in the Google search and see what comes up. See if there's any review sites out there that maybe you didn't realize you had reviews on. And you need to do this on a regular basis. I would say do it weekly. You never know when another review is going to come in, and you want to make sure that you're monitoring that on a regular basis. Again, then go back, repurpose those reviews. Grab those reviews, put them on your website, and then ultimately share those on social media. So if you get good reviews, make that part of your content. If you're sending out a new email to your customers, go, hey, we got a new review from a customer. This is what they said. By the way, here's the link to leave us a review if you'd like to leave us a review as well. This becomes more content that you can share, where you can actually post those reviews on Facebook. You can make it into a graphic and share it there. That way, our tool actually creates a graphic for you and shares it automatically on there. But again, you can do that yourself. Some things you can share with your team. You should expect to get reviews, and you should expect your team, if you have a team, to earn and ask for reviews as well. So I would definitely set that expectation. Things to remember, reviews must be uncompensated. So what we mean by that is you can't it's best not to offer to say, if you leave us a review, we'll give you a discount, or we'll give you a gift card, or we'll do whatever. Most of the sites out there, that violates their terms of service. So again, will they find out about it? I don't know. But it is a risk if you do that. So it's just kind of a warning. You want to ask for reviews without having to say, and when you do it, I'm going to give you this. Because what you're after is an honest and authentic review. That's really ultimately what you want. That's going to give you the biggest impact for getting customers in the future. And that's really your focus. So just some things to remember. Claim your local listing. So this is one that gets missed a lot. Take a drink here. Excuse me. Making sure that you've claimed your listing so that you have control of the information, so you can update the information and make sure it's current. So the main ones: Google My Business, that's your Google Maps, Yahoo, Bing, Yelp, Foursquare, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So these are kind of like the top. If you only do this many, there's hundreds that you could do, but if you only did this many, this is where I would start. Having your company listed on LinkedIn is actually really good for your search results. And in particular, if you're going to be hiring anybody, and if you have a team, LinkedIn is a good place to be just for that purpose as well. And then if you are in a particular niche or industry that has specific sites, for instance, like assisted living, that has sites like caring.com, you want to make sure that your listing is claimed there, meaning I have a login, I can change the information, I can update that information, I can add pictures, I can add my services. You can really build out that profile on those sites with up-to-date and complete information. So that's really the place you want to start with that. The reason for this, why you want to make sure you do that, especially on those sites, the data gets messed up. It gets changed. So in all these directory sites, there's no single authoritative record of information. So your website, you might think, my website's my address and everything, so that's the right record. But all these aggregators are pulling from so many different places that your website's only one small piece of the puzzle. And there's government data out there. There's, all these web crawlers that are crawling data from Google and other search engines. Someone might put a claim on your business. So I've seen where somebody thought a business was closed, so they posted on their Google Maps that this business is closed. Oh. So Google actually took that information and was like, oh, well, this business is closed. So we had to go back and reactivate it to say, no, the business is open, and do that. So other people can put input into your information that's online, and it gets changed because of users' input. So that's why you want to work to keep this information up to date. So claims and consumer signal. Facebook's a good example of this. If you have a Facebook page, every once in a while, I don't know if you've seen this, but I see it all the time with the Facebook pages we work with, where it'll come in and it'll say suggested change. Well, Facebook's not suggesting the change. Somebody that visited my page is suggesting a change.
Wow.
They're asking for, more price information, or, maybe you have there's a rating of pricing, like $1 sign, $2 sign, $3 signs, in terms of how expensive you are. So let's say you marked the single dollar sign, but somebody thought you were expensive. So they said, no, this should be at least $2 signs. So that will come through. You get a chance to approve that or not. but that's part of the data that starts to get updated without our control, really, impacting that. And this is what it really looks like. So you got your Google local map that you're really working on, and then you got all these different things. You got aggregator sites, and you got all these things, and this one feeds to that one, and that one feeds to this one, and it's moving all over the place, and it's kind of crazy. So it's important, a piece of the puzzle. One thing you can do that's pretty cool is if you have a location and you have a lobby or meeting space, whatever it is, you can do 360-degree images and do a virtual tour. So there are companies out there that are partnered with Google that will take these 360 images for you and add that as part of a virtual tour on the Google Maps. These get a lot of views by people. You'd be surprised the number of views that people actually look at pictures and images of a building or community, in particular like a senior care community, where people actually are looking on their phone or on their computer and taking a virtual tour into that building through the Google Maps. It's kind of a bonus tip. All right, so part of why we even talked about this or talking about this is kind of what I picture here with this. When I was probably 8, 9, or 10, somewhere in there, I went with my dad to his office on a Saturday morning. He worked in downtown Denver in one of these tall buildings. And I remember walking from the car to the building with him, and he was walking really fast, and I was trying to keep up with my little legs. And he just reached out his hand and grabbed mine, and I grabbed his. And what I remember about that moment is that I wasn't afraid. I was in this strange place. I'm looking at these great big buildings, and I trusted my dad. I had a hold of his hand. So part of what we're trying to do with all these online reviews is just build a degree of trust so that people are willing to take the next step. And that's really what we're focused on and what we're after. And I also want to know that when I'm going to use a vacuum at a car wash, that it actually works well. I think that's really important. So we've had some questions. If there's more questions, we can address those. I can kind of do a quick case study of how we've helped a business in this space. So Dr. Angela Tran, she owns MedFit Medical Weight Loss here in the Stapleton area. This actually needs to be updated a little bit. It's better than this right now. She'd been in business for 2 years. She had about 25 reviews at the time. We introduced her to our system in about 16 months. That got her up to 166 reviews. So average of about 8 reviews per month. They worked really hard at it too. It was kind of, we gave them the tools, and they worked hard in collecting those reviews. So this is her feedback to us based on that. She said, I didn't really understand the importance of review marketing until she got started. What she saw was a 50% increase in lead generation. Over 90% of her patients have chosen them over the competition based on their reviews. And all the marketing and advertising tools they've been using, the review marketing, hands down, has been the most beneficial and cost-effective method to increase lead generation. So that's one example. So the way this works, and what we like to do is go through a demo where we show you where this really works, but just to give you an idea on the pricing so you can go, okay, I understand what this is going to cost me. It's a $99 one-time setup fee to get everything set up for your whole system, and then $39 a month which gets you the ongoing monitoring and reporting that we do, our support of our team, as well as the tool that we use to help you in collecting more reviews, making it easy, getting them automatically posted to your website, automatically posted to your social media. Everything's basically runs on autopilot for you.
Awesome.
So, however, for You Define Wellness Group, we are going to give you guys a 10% discount for being a part of this group. We don't offer discounts anyplace else.
Oh, thank you.
This discount does not exist for anybody or any other organization, just for your group. So we take 10% off of the setup fee and 10% off of the monthly fee as well. They just need to mention that they came from your group, and we'll make sure to apply that for them.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's really the core of the information.
Perfect.
What else do you want to do?
Well, what I want to do is I want to give you a testimonial. How's that?
That'd be fantastic.
So for everybody watching this video, I have to let you know, Peter's been working with my husband for a year now. Is that about right? And
a little less than that, but pretty close.
Yeah. And it seems like it's been a while, but we noticed changes happening about October. So we're in April right now. So about 6 months ago, we started noticing some changes going on. And I got to tell you that working with Peter makes for a very happy spouse because I have seen Bill's office just really transform. And he's done a couple of things to put in place. Peter is one of them. And his clientele has increased. His search engine where he pops up has increased. His reviews have increased. The reviews bring more clients. So he's a massage therapist, and I can tell you firsthand, it's been working really, really well. So
great.
Kudos, and obviously doing some great stuff. So I'm going to ask you a question that I think other people will have, and it pertains specifically to my husband, so it's a self-serving question as well. So you talked about going to all these different sites, and one of the things that I think people will overlook is when they move offices.
Yes.
And which is something that my husband is doing in just a couple of weeks. Yep. So what advice do you have? I mean, obviously they should have a list of where all they're posted, but assume they don't. What would be step number one?
Yeah. So if you're doing it yourself, the most basic thing is search your business name with your phone number or even with your address, so that you can see all the sites where the old address is listed. So then you can identify, here's the ones that I need to go correct. So that's the main thing, but you want to get Google updated, as quick as possible, and get that done right away. Facebook, the primary ones, get those updated. And then honestly, the best option I would say is like, get in touch with us if you do that. We have a one-time service that we can do. It's $500, but we will go out and do that cleanup for you.
So, but if someone's an existing client of yours, is that part of the services that you offer, or is there an additional fee because it's major work to
This is yeah. So this is in addition to the review piece. Okay. This is a separate service.
Okay.
So we can always update your citations. We call them citations. It's your business listings, right? So we have a service that just does that cleans those up, makes sure the address is correct. So we look at the top 50 first. And then if you want to keep doing it and monitoring and adding new ones, which again, that all helps your local search, then it's a reasonable, add-on cost to keep adding those to do that. But we submit it to, we kind of have a 3-step process. So we have some stuff that we do through some tools and systems that we use that put the correct information on what we call aggregators. There's 4 main aggregators out there, so we get that corrected first. Those push out over time to hundreds and hundreds of other sites. So that's a piece of it. And then the top 50 beyond that, we manually go through and check all of those and fix all of those. And then if you do the ongoing service, we have some additional tools. What we're finding is there's a lot of location-based services, like in cars, you have navigation systems, and every car manufacturer has their own navigation system. Well, how does your name and address get corrected there? So we have a tool that we use. Again, it's a little extra charge for this, that we push out to all the main navigation sites your correct information. So in particular, if someone's trying to find your location and get to your location through whatever navigation device they're using, then they're going to have the correct information. So that's something actually we just started doing here a couple months ago, because we were finding, especially Apple Maps. Apple Maps is still a fairly new product. We're finding a lot of people don't have their information correct on Apple Maps.
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah. But there's products like Waze. Have you heard of Waze, the app called Waze?
Nope.
So Waze is a navigation app. The different car manufacturers, you're going to have in-car navigation. They have their own navigation system.
Oh, geez.
So they're not even using Google. They're not using, another system that's out there.
So it's certainly money well spent to make sure that, number one, your reviews, your online reputation is being,
that's the first thing. Like, you got to do that.
but also accessible, that your clients can find you.
Yes.
So it's definitely money well spent. It's just way too complicated these days. Yes, you can do it all yourself, but why do you want to go through
if you got time to do that? But you probably want to see clients and
go figure. Yeah,
do things like that are actually generating revenue now.
Right, and outsourcing it. And I know with my husband's company, it took a couple months before we started seeing some traction, which is normal. You can't expect an overnight success. But, the number one compliment that I hear from his clients is they will thank us for making it so easy for them to give a review.
That's awesome. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want to hear.
Exactly. Absolutely. So for anybody who's on the phone or that we have in the background here who are watching, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute your phone or type them into the chat box. We're happy to answer those. We only have about another minute here that we're going to be going into it. But I think most of my questions were answered. I just think it's great, the service that you offer, because, okay, I'm a business owner. Actually, I own multiple businesses, and this stuff just drives me nuts. It is way too confusing. I don't want to learn it. And for $39 a month, I'd rather outsource it to someone else. And I think that a lot of the people watching this, particularly those who are in the You Define Wellness network of providers that are all solopreneurs or mostly, that this is an absolute great tool for them to be able to, it's the cost of going to dinner a month.
Yeah.
Taking my kids to, a fast food place. So
practically,
come on, it's less than what we paid for dinner last night for the 5 of us. So, so thank you, Peter. Happy to have you as our speaker today. I know that we're going to be bringing you back hopefully later this year as well, because I think that this deserves a repeat and go into more details. So for everyone joining us today, Peter did share his information. Feel free to go back and you'll find it. For You Define Wellness, you can find us at www.you, and that's YOU, definewellness.com. So thank you again, and I'm going to end the recording now.